Guys, what an episode we are going to have today. Luther distraught. McLaren outclassing Ferrari in the strategy department. Leclerc starting first, finishing outside of the podium. And then on top of that, Norris winning. Oh my God. Your biggest rivals winning and outclassing you. And then to top it off, your favorite driver doesn't bring it home and he finishes outside of the podium. When we watch F1 together, these are the moments that I live for.
This F1 thing isn't for me.
Without a doubt, that was Lando Norris' best race. Without a doubt, that was the most impressive race that I've seen from him. It still came with some caveats. He was still getting coached by William Joseph, but he did what was needed to do. They told him the strategy. Look, you started off badly again, but this time it actually worked in Norris's favor. Dropped down to fourth, a race win was looking distant, but McLaren provided him with a winning strategy, a winning solution, and Norris delivered.
Without a doubt, that was Lando Norris's best win of his career, easily. And Lando Norris fans, I'll come here and I'll give you one promise. I will not criticize Lando Norris for at least 4 weeks. You will not hear a bad word come out from me for Lando Norris for 4 weeks. In all seriousness, it was fantastic. The one stop was clearly the better strategy. It's Hungary. It's Monaco without barriers. Track position is king. You have to be nearly a second quicker a lap to overtake someone around the Hungaroring. Oscar Piastri had the tyre delta, had tyres 13 laps younger than Lando Norris's, caught up with Lando, and he proved me wrong. Oscar Piastri rushed the move twice.
And Piastri was the one making mistakes. Big mistakes. Why didn't he just take his time? That was a desperate lunge.
I was screaming, be patient, be patient. The move wasn't there into turn one. Lift off, slowly ease into the first corner, get a good exit out the first corner, and get Norris with DRS into turn two. It was really, really immature from Oscar Piastri, unfortunately. Obviously right now, if Oscar had the opportunity, I guarantee you he would ask for the one stop. But hindsight is 2020. At this point, he had the opportunity to overtake his teammate, and he didn't do it because he made too many mistakes.
I don't get it, because this was twice that Piastri did this, once in Austria and then now in Hungary. So close to taking out his teammate. He apologized in Austria, but clearly the apology meant nothing. You're so close to taking out your teammate. So Norris, you got to give it to you. We have to give you the credit. You did what was needed to do, because that would have been a 14-point swing in Piastri's favor had Piastri taken over. He would have been 23 points ahead of you. Now Norris is going into the second half of the season only 9 points behind Piastri. Guys, this victory from Norris was so needed. He had to pull it off. Elite performance from Norris. Can't say the same about Ferrari. Another disaster class.
I think the worst decision in my entire life was to make red my favorite color, because all that has caused is anguish and pain in my adult life. I think it was obvious to me and obvious to most people that the only way Charles Leclerc had a chance of winning this race was keeping the McLaren drivers behind him. Which is why even during the race, when Oscar Piastri boxed to undercut him, I turned to Yanni and said, stay out, don't pit. A couple of seconds later, we get Leclerc's radio message pop up. Box, box. You know what I did? I screamed no. He didn't get undercut, don't get it wrong, but you gave up the track position to Lando Norris. You gave up the opportunity to do a one-stop to Lando Norris. And the only way we could compete with the McLaren, this track, with that pace advantage that they had all weekend, was to make sure they were in our dirty air. That was the only way you could make sure that Leclerc stayed ahead of them, to make sure that Lando Norris was still in his dirty air, to make sure Oscar Piastri was still in his dirty air. In the second stint, Oscar Piastri is allowed to have clear air. What does he do? Punch lap after lap after lap after lap in clear air, because Leclerc pitted first. So he then was allowed to have the tyre offset. So he had fresher tyres. Lando Norris was ahead in first. So what did he have? Clear air. And that McLaren in clear air, do you know what it was? It was as quick as the Ferrari on the hards, 10 laps older. He finished 15 seconds behind the podium. And he led for half the race. Insanity, man. I'd love to come here and be like, oh, Leclerc wasn't good enough. He couldn't do anything with that whiz, and Ferrari didn't help him with the strategy. Before the start of the race, I told Yanni, I do not care if Charles Leclerc loses because he has a slower car. Ferrari, don't mess up the strategy. Ferrari, don't have a slow pit stop. Ferrari, or the Ferrari car, don't brake. Anything else, if he's just slower than the McLarens, that's fair. But he was battling for a win. He was quicker than Piastri at times. But he started on pole here. He's won one of his last 16 pole positions. Mainly because of him outperforming the car, but he's won one of his last 16 pole positions. It's crazy, man. Deserves so much better because that car shouldn't have been on pole. In practice, every single practice session, the McLarens were 6/10 faster than every single car on the grid, bar one. What car was that? This number 16 Ferrari. They were 6/10 of a second quicker than every single car on the grid but Charles Leclerc's Ferrari. And then he finishes 40 seconds behind him or something like that. What the hell? Because this car's unreliable. I can't be bothered, man.
I just want to make you guys realize, and also Luther remember, that Lando Norris now has more race victories than Charles Leclerc.